Hey besties, are you ready for this cruise ship tea? So I'm on vacation, heading to the Bahamas, enjoying the fresh air, the drinks, the sun. I was up on the deck alone when up walks this woman. I can tell she's a little lit by how she's walking, but you know, so am I. She lays down on the pool chair next to me and I can tell she's a little bit upset. I lift up my sunshades and I'm like, "Are you good?" She looks over at me and I can tell she's been crying. I was concerned, so again I ask, "Are you okay?" This is the point where I should have minded my business. But anyway, she says no. She goes on to tell me that her and her man came on this cruise together, but he was over there sitting with a group of hoes flirting. She waves her hand to the other side of the deck where I see a gentleman in the hot tub surrounded by 5 beautiful women. My jaw drops and I'm immediately disgusted. I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, sis. You don't deserve that. That's really messed up." Again, I was a little drunk, so now I'm mad at this man and I don't even know him. Of course, I'm thinking to myself, why would your man even go over there and entertain them? But anyway, I start telling her it'll be okay and to enjoy her trip without him, and she starts laughing to herself. I'm curious, so I ask her what's funny. She tells me that his credit card was linked to their ship card. If you've been on a cruise before, you know your ship card is basically your card to use everywhere on the ship to purchase stuff. Y'all already know I'm here for the tea, so I was like, "Oh, so what did you do?" She looks at me and says she just bought 2 purses and a watch, but she's not done yet. So now I'm hyping her up like, "Okay, sis, I see you. That's how you do it. Run his bank account up." I'm laughing with her and we're having a good old little chat about the other stuff she's about to buy on his account when suddenly we hear some cheering from the other side of the deck where her man is. We look over and one of the girls in the hot tubs is twerking to this song that was playing while the other girls in the tub were like hyping her up, and homegirl's man was slapping her butt. Y'all, the way my jaw dropped when I saw this, after watching for a moment, I look over at homegirl to see her reaction, but she was already halfway across the deck heading in that direction. See, I wish I was the type to pull out my phone and record, but I was too busy eating my popcorn seeing it in real life to even think about it. She jets over to where they are, and I'm thinking she's about to go snatch her man up out that hot tub, but she walked straight up to the girl that was dancing. Y'all, I knew it was about to go down, so I got up out my chair and moved a little bit closer so I can hear what was going on. Homegirl's going back and forth with the dancing girl, calling her all types of names, and the other 4 girls in the pool suddenly start standing up like they're about to get out. The other 4 girls start arguing back with her, but homegirl wasn't trying to hear it. Next thing I know, all 5 of the girls jump out of the hot tub, and her man was still in the hot tub just watching, enjoying the show. Y'all not gonna want to miss part 2.
My husband's ex-girlfriend is dying. Her last wish is to be with my husband. As the title goes, my 30 female husband's ex-girlfriend 33 female was recently diagnosed with late-stage breast cancer, and her last wish is to be with my husband 35 male. My husband, let's call him Seb, and his ex Tanya became best friends after their breakup a couple of years ago due to her infidelity. They were together for 5 years. Needless to say, they remained in contact even before he met me. I would be lying if I said it never made me feel uncomfortable even once. It did, and it still does, because Tanya is still in love with my husband. She never denied it, and in fact would even call or message me when she couldn't get a hold of Seb. Aside from cancer, she also has some mental health issues. Thus, my husband would always tell me to be kind and patient. Seb is no longer in love with her, of course. She cheated, and Seb swore that he will never get back to her and that he only sees her as family. 2 weeks ago, my husband received a call from Tanya to tell him about the sad news. My husband cried with her and told her everything is going to be okay. They were on the phone the whole day. I forgot to mention that Seb and I moved to Australia a few months ago.
Story time on how a recent client tried to fight me. A couple months ago, I started taking clients again. I posted on Facebook that I was doing these $40 sets, you know, any length, any design, just to get started. My Facebook friends were sharing my posts, so a lot of new people started sending in friend requests. I added all of them back and started booking. One girl hit me up, hyping up my work, saying she really wanted to book with me. She sent me the design she wanted and we set an appointment. So the day of her appointment, she came right on time, but I noticed she was wearing sweatpants and a sweatshirt. It was really hot outside, but I figured she wanted to be comfy, so I didn't think too much of it. So I started her set, and as I was putting the tips on, she started asking me a lot of questions about myself. I'm not really the type to tell all my business, but I figured she was just trying to make some conversation. I told her about my other job, my son, and my boyfriend. Out of all the things I told her, she seemed really interested in my boyfriend. She asked how we met, how long we've been together, and if we had any issues, you know, really just being nosy. So I tried to change the subject by asking her about her own relationship. She tells me her and her boyfriend broke up like 2 months ago because he cheated on her with a slut. She went on saying that this girl was texting her man while they were together and was acting like she didn't even know that he had a girlfriend. I just shook my head in disappointment, but I kept to myself. She said the girl was just a broke hoe looking for a come-up, but she was gonna handle all of that soon. I could tell her hands were getting kind of tense while I was laying the acrylic, so I tried to change the conversation and, ask her about her job, but she just kept going on talking about that girl. She told me she was gonna run up on this girl, drag her, and get her man back. Well, he doesn't seem like much of a prize, I said, without even thinking. She snatched her hand away as I was doing her top coat and looked pissed off. I figured it was because of what I said, so I apologized and she put her hand back under the UV lamp to dry. I had no idea where all of this tension was coming from, but I was ready to go ahead and finish up this set because I was starting to get uncomfortable. I top coated the rest of her nails, and just as she was putting her hand under the UV lamp, I heard someone running up to my front door. The door unlocked and my boyfriend came running in looking panicked. I asked him what was wrong. He looked right at my client and said, "You need to get out, now." Shocked, I looked at her and I looked at him, confused with how they even knew each other. "What are you doing here?" he asked her. She stood up, looked at me and said, "So this is the bitch you were cheating with, huh?" My jaw dropped. There's no way this girl was sitting here talking about me the whole time. I had no idea he even had a girlfriend when we started dating. So it didn't even cross my mind that she was talking about me. She knocked all the supplies off my desk, looked at me and said, "Get up, now." Part 2 posting right now.
Chelsea is back. I haven't seen her since the end of September, so she cheated on me 3 times since our last appointment. And she came back with crooked nails. I don't remember leaving them like this. And usually I'm understanding about clients going to other techs because our schedules may not align all the time. But when we got to talking, she said she went to her local salon because they now offer Russian manicures and hard gel for, and I quote, "really fast and cheap." She also asked me not to fix any of the crooked nails and to just file them, paint them as they are, and to preferably take only an hour and a half. At this point I started getting a little upset because it's not great to hear, especially when she came back with bubbly and crooked nails. I asked if it was money problems because then I'd understand, but she said no, it's because my husband thinks you take too long and it takes away from me being with the baby. At this point I was a little shocked. I asked her if she's okay and about her mental health because based on how she made it seem, she does everything plus works on top of it. She did open up about a few things which I won't be sharing, but I'm glad she's okay and we discussed it.
Part 2. My boyfriend gave me sleeping pills before his boys' night out. After I accused my boyfriend of messing with the cocktails, he admitted to putting a couple Benadryl in my drink. This, mixed with the alcohol, is what made me extremely sleepy and caused me to knock out for the whole night. I was furious when he said it. He clearly didn't see a problem with it and even made a joke about how he should do it more often when he doesn't want me pestering him. I freaked out at him and told him that what he did was not only wrong, but could also be a crime. I think this scared him a bit because he quickly started apologizing and promising to never do it again. Obviously, I'm not stupid and I wasn't going to stay with someone who would do that to me. I quickly called my family who came rushing over. I packed my things and my brothers kept my now ex in the other room and threatening him not to come around me. I got all my things together with my mom and my sister and left him that very day. He wouldn't stop blowing up my phone with apologies and sending sorry gifts to my work. I had to block his number and threaten him with a restraining order if he ever tried to talk to me again. I was horrified that someone would go to those lengths and I couldn't trust him after this. He even tried to get his family to text me to get back together with him, but when I told them why we broke up, they were shocked too. They apologized profusely on his behalf and told me to stay safe.
This is why you should always lock your front doors. A kid living with both of his parents decided to watch a movie for their family weekly movie night. He then gets up to use the restroom. As he is in the restroom, he sees all of the power in the house cuts off, and then he hears 2 loud thumps. He locks the bathroom door and hears heavy objects being dragged across the hallway. The kid, freaking out, runs out of the bathroom and runs into the restroom. Once he is inside the room, he locks the door. As he locks the door, he jumps in bed and acts like he's asleep in hopes that this person who is in the house will ignore a child sleeping. He closes his eyes and hears the door creak at the same time. He squints his eyes and sees a man with no eyes dragging the bodies of both of his parents. The man dragging his parents sits his mom's dead body in a chair facing him, and then sets the dad's body on the floor facing up. It was almost like whoever was in the house who killed them wanted him to see it. He then sees the man writing something on the wall and then climbs under his bed. He laid there for hours knowing that if he moved a muscle he would end up just like his parents. He finally built up enough courage to read the wall, and the writing on the wall said, "I know you're awake."
My best friend's boyfriend starts DMing me on Instagram. He confesses that he had a crush on me when we were in college together, and I told him that I did too. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. From that day on, he would DM me every single day and we would just flirt back and forth. I started feeling really guilty and I told him one day I can't do this anymore. That's when he told me he also felt guilty and that the best thing was for us to stop talking, so we did. I was so sad. A few weeks passed by and my best friend asked me if she could have the apartment all to herself because she's planning a romantic dinner for him. I said yes, but I felt so jealous. Left the apartment apartment because I realized that I was so in love with him. I went to the supermarket and ate a whole pack of Oreo cookies and went to the movies. I get a text message from my best friend asking me to come home immediately. My stomach sank and I thought she had found out. When I get there, she's crying and she says that he broke up with her. I asked if he said why, and she said because he was in love with another woman. My stomach sank again. I was there with her the entire night while she cried, knowing her boyfriend left her because of me. Part 3.
So this one day after school, I decided to ask my mom if I could have a sleepover at my friend's house. For reasons I will not be calling her real name, I'll call her Tracy instead. So after hours of begging and begging, she finally let me go. It was on a Thursday night, and everything was perfectly fine. We watched movies, we listened to music all day. But then when it was time for me and her to go to bed, she seemed really off. She started getting really nervous all of a sudden. So I was like, hey, what's wrong? And she was like, I don't feel comfortable sleeping in my house. So because she trusted me, she ended up telling me why. She then said, so I see this dark figure in my room every night and it kind of looks like my dad. I always hear him groaning and I could see that he's looking at me. She then told me that she thought she was probably just paranoid, considering the fact that her dad came home late and as soon as he got home, he wanted to just get some rest. So he would just go to bed or lay down. She then told me that this had been going on for months and she always tries to get up to go up to the figure, but it disappeared every time she turned around for a second or even blinked. So now I have insomnia. So I told her, hey, you know what? Don't worry about it. You can go to bed. I'm gonna stay up and keep a lookout. The night rolled in really fast and I ended up falling asleep for a little bit and I woke up to hearing my friend crying in the corner. She then tells me that she can sense him, so she kept her eyes closed because I told her to.
I've always had a good relationship with my mother-in-law up until I was pregnant. My husband's side of the family hasn't had a girl born in the past 100 years. So when everyone found out I was pregnant with a girl, no one believed me. Everyone was so shocked when it was announced that most of them denied it up until the moment she was born. And that's when the horrible comments started. Whenever my husband wasn't around, my mother-in-law would make snarky comments like, I wonder where she got that nose. It's definitely not my son's. I never told him and let everything slide because she's older and she's my mother-in-law. But when I was pregnant with baby number 2, and yes, it was another girl, I told him to wait as long as possible because I know she wouldn't like the news. When she found out it was a girl, she started sobbing and screaming. She was calling me a whore and demanded that I get out of her house. Those girls are not ours. She's a whore, a slut. My son did not make those girls. She looked at me and said, I let you get away with it the first time. I took you in as family. I allowed my son to believe he fathered that brat, but I will not allow it again. My husband was yelling at his mom, and I got up and took my daughter, and I ran to the car sobbing.
Girls, tell me about a time where your quick thinking probably saved your life. I'll go first. 2 years ago, I was walking my dog at the park, and a man approached me and asked to take a picture of her. And I said yes, because why not? It's a picture of a dog. So we started taking a picture of my dog, and then I realized that he was like holding up her collar. And then it hit me. My address is on that collar. He's not taking a picture of my dog. He's taking a picture of my address. So I told him that I actually didn't feel comfortable with him having a picture of my dog, and I asked him to delete it. So he deletes it and then like starts walking away really fast. And I was like, excuse me, sir. No, could you also go into your deleted album and delete it from there? And he goes, I don't have a deleted album. And I was like, you have an iPhone. Everybody has a deleted album. Could you please delete the picture? And he was like, sorry, I don't have a deleted album. And like keeps walking away. And keep in mind, this is like 2 PM in a park. Like there's other people around. So now I'm like chasing after him and I'm telling him, sir, I know you have the album. I will show you where the album is. Can you please go onto your phone so that we can delete the picture? Oh, part 2.
Here's a story time of how me and my sisters almost got kidnapped. So my mom and her boyfriend were just going to go out and have a night to themselves, and I was home watching my 2 little sisters. At the time, I was 13, my 2 little sisters were 9 and 6. So around 6 p.m., my mom and her boyfriend leave. Me and my sisters just sit down and watch a movie, and then I get up to make them dinner. I get paranoid really easily, and while I was making them dinner, I look out the kitchen window, and I thought I seen somebody in the backyard. I text my mom and she gets on the cameras that are outside and she said nobody was out there. I continue making them dinner, we sit down and eat, and then we start watching another movie. Then we start hearing knocking. It wasn't coming from any of the doors, it was coming from the side of the house. I didn't want to bother my mom on her one night out, so I just took the kids and we went upstairs and watched a movie in my room. My 6-year-old sister at the time went to the bathroom and she came back in literal tears. She was literally crying so hard until I finally got her to stop and tell me what was wrong. She said as she was walking back from the bathroom, she seen somebody downstairs. I quietly locked my door and I put my sisters in the closet and I called my mom right away. I'm running out of time, like for part...
Anonymous story time. The first and last time I did this girl's nails, she came in with 2 of her friends. One of her friends started touching my things and kind of snooping around. From the corner of my eye, I seen her touch her purse. She would turn around to look at her friends and say, oh my god, look at this color, it's so pretty. She then walked over to the coat rack where my purse was hanging. She started saying, wow, it's getting really warm in here. Do you mind turning down the heater just a little bit, please? I was like, oh yeah, give me a minute. And I walked out of the room. I heard her say pretty loud, I'm gonna take off my sweater. When I come back, they're all acting really weird. I'm trying to finish this girl's nails and I overhear one of the friends whisper to the other friend, just put it all back. I am so stupid for thinking these girls would not steal from me. I finish up the girl's nails, she pays me, thanks me, says how much she loves them, and they all walk out. As I'm cleaning up, I start counting my money and I realize that the $100 bill she gave me says play money. Then I notice I have gels and glitters missing. I look everywhere and realize this bitch took my shit. I check my purse and all my cash is missing. I tried to contact the girl and I'm blocked.
Story time about the time my supposed friends tried to pull up to fight me. So I had just got off of work and picked up my kids from daycare and I heard my doorbell ring. So of course I looked through the people and I see three of my friends, so I opened up the door. Soon as I open the door, all I hear is, I heard you this and that. And I'm confused, so I'm like, hold up, what's going on? What you not about to do is come to my door with this bullshit after I done worked all day. So I closed my door and went to change my clothes. So when I was finished, I told my supposed friends, hold on, I gotta go pick my mama up from work because I was using her car. And what I wasn't about to do is have my mama wait while I beat her bitch up. Yup. So I left to go pick my mama up, and when she got in the car, I just ran into her about everything that was going on, and I just told her, no disrespect to you, but I'm not about to let nobody come to my house talking crazy to me and think they gonna get a pass. Like, one thing about me, I ain't no punk. You ain't about to play with me. So when we made it home, tell me why these bitches was still waiting outside my house. If y'all want to know what happened after this, let me know if y'all want me to post for it too.
This is why you should always keep pictures of your parents. A little girl named Olivia who lived a very quiet life decided to check her homework assignments that were posted online. The teacher posted that they needed to write down their favorite memory with their family as well as bring a photograph. Olivia then writes about how her and her mom play dolls every night in the basement before bed and that she has a lot of fun doing so. She finishes her paragraph and then looks in her dad's drawer for a photograph of mom. She only found pictures of her mom from high school but decided to use it anyway. Olivia goes to bed and wakes up the next morning. Once she arrives at school, the teacher then says, let's start presenting our project. Then the teacher called Olivia's name to present. Olivia then begins to read about how her and her mom play dolls every night and then pulls out the photograph. As soon as Olivia pulled out the photograph, her teacher's face goes numb. She then asks Olivia if she can take a closer look at the photograph. She then recognized her mom as one of her previous students. Then the teacher asks, where did you get this photo? Olivia says, my dad keeps them in his drawer. The teacher, shocked, sits down Olivia and pulls out an old newspaper. The newspaper headline, local high school teen murdered, boyfriend gone missing. The teacher then looks at Olivia and says, your mom has been dead for 14 years.